My husband and I were invited to a friend's beautiful Tuscany wedding in late summer, and we used the opportunity to rent a car for 2 weeks and explore Tuscany, Umbria, and Rome. We booked an Airbnb in the small town of Chiusi in Tuscany, near the famous Val D'Orcia region, and used it as a base camp for the first 1.5 weeks.
After landing in Rome's Fiumicino airport, we got our rental car and drove 3 hours without tolls to our booked apartment in Chiusi. We got incredibly lucky with our stay in Chiusi. The small town on the border of the Umbria region is relatively unknown by tourists and is therefore very peaceful and quiet. The town isn't any less beautiful than other towns that we explored, and the hilltop views there were some of the best we've seen during our whole trip.
Our apartment, which was more like a villa, had a huge terrace with views overlooking the houses and the valley below. We often ate on the glass table outside and watched the sunset. One morning we woke up to see a massive cloud inversion blanketing the whole landscape, which was like something out of a fairy tale. Every morning when we went out on the terrace, there would be a very strong, enticing smell of delicious sweet buns coming from local bakeries.
We walked around Chiusi, taking note of the colorful architecture and narrow alleyways. The friendly locals, who were mostly seniors, even talked to us in Italian on the streets. We strolled through the nearby farms on a dirt road and saw numerous fig trees and grapevines. A few days before the wedding we attended, we joined our friend's wedding crew and hopped on the train in Chiusi Scalo to the famous city of Firenze, also known as Florence. One bonus of staying in Chiusi is the nearby train station in Chiusi Scalo, a town 20 minutes walking distance from Chiusi. The train ride was very comfortable.
We arrived at the Santa Maria Novella station in Florence and walked 15 minutes along the Arno River to visit the famous Uffizi Museum. Along the way, we saw many landmarks, including the Ponte Vecchio bridge. The Uffizi Gallery had famous works of art from the Italian Renaissance period, including The Birth of Venus by Sandro Botticelli. We had a tour guide explaining many facts about the museum and the art inside, which was very helpful. We also saw the famous statue of David at the Accademia Gallery, 16 minutes away. We then stopped by the Mercato Centrale, a huge food market selling all kinds of cuisine, which is a perfect stop for lunch. We also saw the beautiful roof of the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore building in the evening from a rooftop restaurant downtown. To tell you the truth though, Florence wasn't the most exciting place to visit in Italy, partly due to the many tourists there, but mostly because the atmosphere wasn't the romantic, magical place we envisioned. Your experience might be much better, especially if you love spending time at art museums.
Back in Chiusi, our home base, we visited many towns in Tuscany and Umbria regions. Here's an itinerary of towns we visited during one day in Tuscany's Val D'Orcia region. We start by driving through Salcheto and visit Montepulciano, Pienza, San Quirico D'Orcia, Montalcino, Abbey of Sant'Antimo, Bagno Vignoni, Monticchiello and back to Chiusi in about 2.5 hours driving time total. This whole region is known as Val D'Orcia, and it's a beautiful place to host a destination wedding.
We drive through Salcheto on our way to Montepulciano. Montepulciano was a very steep town to walk through, which provided beautiful views and architecture. The clock tower and the Piazza Grande main square were just incredible. There's lots to see and do in these towns that we didn't cover in this video, so it's best to research each town's unique features yourself.
Next, we drove to Pienza, but didn't explore the town because of time. The agricultural area surrounding Pienza is extremely beautiful. We made a quick stop at San Quirico D'Orcia, which had colorful architecture, beautiful gardens and a picturesque church. Driving by beautiful scenery again, we stopped at Montalcino. Montalcino was one of our favorite towns to visit. Not only were the views from the hilltop town amazing, but the alleyways and stone architecture were incredibly beautiful. The Brunello wine from this area was the best red wine we have tried while in Italy.
After Montalcino, we drove by a beautiful abbey called Abbey of Sant'Antimo. The scenery here was incredible, just like in the other parts of Val D'Orcia. The next stop was Bagno Vignoni, a town with hot springs in the main square that were used in Roman times. Our last stop through Val D'Orcia was Monticchiello, a small but very cute town with incredible stone architecture.
The last day of exploring Tuscany included driving from Chiusi to see the towns of Siena, Monteriggioni and San Gimignano. Siena was a favorite of ours. The medieval city is famous for its Palazzo Pubblico town hall and Torre del Magna. This is where crowds of tourists congregate. The Duomo of Siena Cathedral is another landmark worth seeing. The atmosphere here was very inviting. We saw many local people here with very fashionable attire. The city is very big, perfect for walking and exploring every alleyway. Monteriggioni was a quick stop along the way and is a beautiful walled castle.
San Gimignano was one of our favorite towns that we visited in Italy. It had beautiful hilltop scenery, wonderful alleyways, art, and Vernaccia wine, the best white wine we have tried in Italy. The gelato here at Gelateria Dondoli is said to be the best in the world.
On another road trip, we explored the Umbria region, including the towns of Castiglione del Lago, Perugia, and Assisi. Castiglione del Lago main attractions are its fortress and the overlooking scenery on Lake Trasimeno. The Fortress of the Lion was built by the Emperor Frederick II in 1247 CE. It was fun to explore the fortress and walk through the photogenic stone wall passage. The cost to enter is €5 per person as of 2022. You can see the cityscape from the top of the castle.
Perugia is the capital city of Umbria. It is a pretty modern city which comes with a few downsides, including graffiti and not as good of an atmosphere as other cities. That said, the city has a lot of great sights to see, such as a beautiful view of the valley surrounding it, as well as churches and terracotta rooftops.
Another favorite town of ours in Umbria is Assisi. The white stone architecture there is otherworldly, especially when you are there in person. The main street in Assisi is lined with many shops, food stores and restaurants with window displays of scrumptious foods. We bought an olive rosary as a gift there, and it had a very nice olive scent. There is a peaceful and idyllic monastery at San Damiano Church right before entering the city, and the main basilica of San Francesco di Assisi and surrounding square has incredible architecture. It was truly a pleasure to walk around this unique town.
On our way back to Rome, we stopped by Orvieto, a town in Umbria. There was a mystical fog that morning. Of course, Rome is filled with many things to do and places to see. We cannot begin to cover everything here. We stayed in an Airbnb apartment in the Tiburtina district and had a great view of this tower of the San Giovanni Berkman's church. Our apartment was close to the Roma Termini station, where you can take a bus to the airport and back. We walked around this large city to see famous landmarks in it. Here is the famous Trevi Fountain. There were a lot of tourists here, so we didn't spend too much time here. We headed to the Spanish Steps and saw the Barcaccia water fountain. The streets in Rome were filled with many nice-looking cafes. The Pantheon was an awe-inspiring landmark, especially when we were inside it. We also stopped by the famous Colosseum and got a great view from a nearby hill.
As we headed for Mass at Vatican City, we crossed the Tiber River. To attend the Papal Mass, you can request free tickets by sending request forms to the Vatican through email or fax. After resting overnight in our apartment, we took in the views of Rome one last time. We hope this video inspires you to travel to Italy. Please like this video and subscribe for future travel videos. Check out some more tips and details of our trip in the description and leave a comment on any thoughts or questions you have on Italy.